Thanks again, Alan. We are with Farm Credit Services, and before we talk about their commitment here to the state and to the FFA, we're going to talk about land values, a pretty hot topic this past year especially. Will land values stay the same, or will we see a little rise? Here to tell us more about what they're seeing, Kent Reid with Farm Credit Services of Illinois, and Mike Morris with First Farm Credit, their chief appraisers for each group. And I guess, Kent, you're standing closest to us. Tell us a little bit about your involvement here and a little bit about what you've seen here in the past few months.
Well, I mean, it's been interesting the last 3 years even on land values. We've had probably 18% the last year increase throughout our territory, and that was preceded by another 20 the additional 2 years. So we're probably up 60% the last 3 years.
And Mike, for you?
We've seen similar increases. In our case, we've seen probably an average increase of over 80% in the last 3 years on some of the farms that we monitor and track through our benchmark programs.
So guys, what are you seeing is the trend now? Are we going to see it come down a bit, or what are you seeing here in the near term?
I would say, honestly, it's probably fairly stable here the last 6 months. You'll see the occasional really high sale, but it's looking like it's going to stay the same, not go down much. It doesn't look like at this point.
And I was asking earlier about the crop this year. Once we harvest this 2013 crop, will that have a bearing on the farmland values as far as what you see?
Maybe more in attitude than actual finance, I would say. If it's a really good crop, their attitude's going to be better. They're going to look at it a little bit different. If it's a medium crop, probably will stay more stable, I would guess.
We have a lot of question marks as we visited about crop insurance, and do you see that having an impact? And maybe okay for 2014, but how do you see that playing into farmland values down the road?
I think crop insurance has been a very positive influence on land values, as we saw last year. Saying here just a mere 12 months ago, we were looking at no appreciable crop in some areas, and a lot of us thought we were experts, saw that hey, there's not going to be as much money and so forth, and land values are going to suffer. Well, we saw exactly the opposite. So crop insurance had a very positive impact. This year, maybe not so much, but I think the attitudes will be, what are commodity prices? What are my yields? Commodity prices are down from a year ago, futures prices. That could soften the land market a little bit, although we've seen some recent sales that are still in excess of $15,000–16,000 an acre. So it certainly hasn't happened yet.
We were talking, Kent, before we went on the air about the differences between northern and southern Illinois. How do you see the land values differing there?
Well, the central part, or the northern part of our territory, which is the central part actually, versus the southern part. The southern part has some very good ground and then some marginal ground both. The marginal ground probably, for what it is probably even a little bit higher than the good ground.
Who's in the market right now? Who is buying farm ground here in the state?
You have some investors yet still buying, but most of our territory, it's farmers buying it or local individuals buying land.
And you've seen that's changed a little bit, right, the last couple of years?
Right. Up until a few years ago, we had a lot of 1031 exchange money coming in. That's prior to 2007 when residential expansion was continuing, and a lot of that money got plowed back into farmland. But most of that's gone away as residential demand has gone down. So what we've seen is as commodity prices rose, farmers became the primary buyers. We do, as Kent said, see some institutional buyers coming in, but predominantly it's staying local. Farmers are bidding against farmers for land.
And Kent, how do you view that situation? How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel better about the stability of agriculture here in the state?
I really do. When the local farmer's buying it, they're not going anywhere with it. They're not going to try to liquidate if we do see a downturn a little bit. They're in it for the long haul.
Mike Morris and Kent Reid, the chief appraisers here with Farm Credit Services, the system here in the state, join us. And I guess, guys, what's the best part of your job? Mike, you were telling us that you've been with this Farm Credit team for a long time.
Right. I guess I would say the best part of my job is being able to continue to work with farmers. Really didn't have a big enough farm to go back to when I got out of college, and so I've been able to stay closely tied to agriculture while yet being able to provide a living for myself. And
for you, Kent?
I would say kind of the same thing. I'm from a very small rural town, and to stay connected with agriculture and farming, it's just a way of life, and I truly enjoy it.
So just to kind of summarize here, your message about farmland values here, end of 2013 into 2014.
Right now what we continue to see is a lack of supply of land on the market. When properties are placed on the market, they sell pretty quickly. This fall will tell a lot as far as whether that demand continues high or not, whether prices stay high, or if we see some softening in the land markets.
And for you, Ken?
I would say really similar to the same thing. Our land supply is low. There is still a lot of demand for it. And so depending on fall and what happens, I'd say probably pretty stable yet.
Would you invite folks to stop by, and I'm sure you'll enjoy and entertain lots of conversations about farmland values here the next couple of days?
One thing I've learned about farmers over the years is you always love to talk about land values and what's going on in their neighborhood, and since I'm not out as much as I used to be, I really would welcome the opportunity to hear what's going on in different farmers' neighborhoods.
Just about a minute left here, but Kent, we've heard from like the South, Arkansas, et cetera. We've heard that weed management has a tremendous role in leases and things like that as far as the future, and that hopefully we won't have those kind of problems, but it really does matter how a farm is managed as far as the value of that land.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
With the land values and how the land is managed, that really comes into play for that farm today and for down the road.
Absolutely, and with the technology of today, the local farmer is just using that technology more and more with that management skill. It's crucial.
Excellent. We're here at the Farm Progress Show 2013. Alan, we're talking with Mike and Kent. We're talking about land values. If you are coming out to the show here this year, be sure to stop by and talk to the guys from Farm Credit Services of Illinois and First Farm Credit here at Farm Progress Show 2013. We'll be back with more, and we'll talk with Rod Stahl and Karen Blatter as they host hundreds of FFAers coming through the doorway here at the Farm Progress Show. Farm Credit has made a huge investment into the FFA, and they're giving back through the youth in Illinois.